Good morning and welcome to our first live lesson on YouTube. My name is Helen. I'm one of the maths teachers here at Century, and I'm going to be taking you through a lesson this morning on calculating the volume of triangular prisms. So how this is going to work is I'll first take you through some key words that you need to know and some examples of how to solve the problems. And then we'll put that new knowledge to the test by logging into Century and having a go answering some questions on the platform. Now, if you do want to try this yourself after this lesson is over and you want to have a go on your own account, at the end of this video, I will explain how you can set up your free Century account. You'll have access to hundreds and hundreds of videos. So it's not just maths, there's also English and science in there as well. There's also links in the description of this video to explain how you can do that as well. Now, before we get started with the lesson, make sure that you have something to write with, something to write on, and a calculator. A basic calculator will be absolutely fine. We're just going to be doing some multiplying and dividing. And now I'm going to switch off my video so that I'm not distracting from the rest of the lesson. And let's get started. So before we start doing any calculations, we do need to know some key words. So the first word you need to know is this word cross-section. So the cross-section is the name for the 2D shape you get when you make a straight cut through a 3D shape. So if we look at this 3D shape here, this is called a cuboid. Now, this cuboid has been cut here to make a rectangle. Now, if I cut the shape here, or here, or here, I still get the same rectangle. So you could say that the cross-section of the cuboid is a rectangle. Now, the other word that we need to know is prism. Now, a prism is a 3D shape with the same cross-section throughout. So here, this cuboid has this same rectangle throughout, wherever that cross-section is. So that means that a cuboid is an example of a prism. Now, in this lesson, we are looking at triangular prisms like this. So that's just a prism where the cross-section is a triangle. Now, in general, when you're calculating the volume of a prism, you need to multiply the area of the cross-section by the length. So this is our general formula. Volume equals area of cross-section times length. Now, throughout this video, if I do say any information that is new to you, please do write it down because you're going to need to use it when we start solving the problems. So in these examples, because we're going to work out the area of a cross-section and the cross-section is triangle, we're going to need to know the formula for the area of a triangle. And the formula for the area of a triangle is given by base times height divided by 2. Now, what does that actually mean? If I just draw a general triangle over here, and the base is going to be the length of one of the sides. So if I call this one the base, there we go, base, the height must be at a right angle to the base. So in this case, the height would be this length here. So sometimes this is referred to as perpendicular. You might have heard that word before. Perpendicular just means at a right angle. So calculating the area of a triangle, you need to do base times height divided by 2. So we'll do a couple of warm-up questions first to make sure that you can calculate the area of a triangle. Because if you can do that, then finding the area of finding the volume of prisms is going to be easy. So here are 3 questions for you to try. I'm actually going to talk through the first one so you can see how to work them out, and then I'll give you 20 seconds to do the other 2. So I'm going to start with this one on the left-hand side. Always start by writing down the formula. So I want base times height divided by 2. In this case, the base is 4 centimeters. The height is 6 centimeters. And then if I divide that by 2, I will have 24 divided by 2, which gives me an answer of 12 centimeters squared. So that's the first one. I'm now going to give you 20 seconds to work out the other 2. So write down your working out and your answers. All right, 20 seconds starts now. Okay, let's see how you did. So here are the answers. In this example, we had a base of 8 and a height of 5 centimeters. So we should do 5 times 8, which is 40, and then divide that by 2, and you get 20 centimeters squared. Well done, especially if you got this answer down here of 32 centimeters squared. Now, a lot of people will have made mistakes here because a lot of people think that the base is always at the bottom of a triangle, but that's not always the case. Here, the base is this length of 8 centimeters. Now, in terms of the height, we know that this side is perpendicular to the base, and this height is also going to be 8 centimeters. And I know that because of these lines. So that means that these 2 lines are of equal length. So I needed 8 times 8, which is 64, divided by 2, which gives me 32 centimeters squared. Okay, let's try some slightly trickier warm-up questions. So we still have triangles to find the area of, but now we've got a little bit of extra information to deal with. So again, I will do the first one for you, and then you will do the other 2. So here I've got a triangle with 3 measurements. I know I want to find the area, so I know I'm going to start with the formula. Area equals base times height divided by 2. But I don't just have base and height, I have 3 different measurements here. So I need to decide which ones I actually need to use. Now, because I know base and height are always perpendicular to each other, that means I'm going to use 12 centimeters as my base and 3 centimeters as my height. So my area will be 12 times 3 divided by 2. So it's 36 divided by 2, 18 centimeters squared. Okay, now you try the other 2. Your 20 seconds starts now. Okay, and let's check those answers. So this one up here, you should have got 30 centimeters squared by using 12 as your base and 5 as your height, or you could do 5 as the base and 12 as the height. Either way, you'll get the same answer. And then this one down here, quite tricky at first. Your base is this length of 7 centimeters and your height was 4 centimeters. So well done if you got 14 centimeters squared as your answer. Now, if you did struggle with any of these, you may want to go onto Century and try these lessons here. So area of right angle triangles and area of triangles. That will help you to prepare for finding the volume of the triangular prisms. Okay, so now that we've done those warm-up questions, we're in a good place to start looking at examples where we're finding the volume of triangular prisms. So I'm going to take you through 2 examples, and then we're going to put this knowledge to the test on Century. Now, it's always good to start with the formula. So volume equals area of cross-section times length. Now, the area of the cross-section is going to be the area of this triangle here. So I'm going to work that out first. Area equals base times height divided by 2. This one's nice and straightforward. I've only got 2 measurements and I can see they're at right angles. So I'm going to work out 2 times 3 divided by 2. That's going to give me 6 divided by 2, which is 3. And because it's an area and my units are centimeters, my unit for area will be centimeters squared. Okay, so that's the first step done. I found the area of the cross section. Now I just need to multiply it by the length, and that will give me the volume. So volume will be equal to 3 centimeters squared. That's the area, times the length, 5 centimeters, and that will give me 15, let's write it straight in the answer box, 15 centimeters cubed. So that is our first example out the way. Nice and straightforward, area of the cross section multiplied by the length, and that gives us the volume. Now we'll try a slightly trickier one. So you might notice here that there are some extra values and some slightly harder numbers, but it's going to be exactly the same process. So I'm going to start with the area. Base times height divided by 2. This time I have some decisions to make, which one is the base and which one is the height out of these 3. And I can see that these 2, so 12 centimeters and 13.8, are perpendicular to each other. So I'm going to use those. 12 times 13.8 divided by 2. Now, this is where the calculator is really going to come in handy. So I've got 165.6 divided by 2 there, and that will give me 82.8 centimeters squared. Okay, so we've found the area and now we need to find the volume. So I need to take that area (82.8) multiplied by the length, 40 centimeters. And if I type that into my calculator, I come up with this answer, 3,312. So final answer, 3,312 centimeters cubed. Okay, so those are our 2 key examples. Now we're about to go on to Century and put this knowledge in context and practice some questions. So if you do want to write down this example or take a screenshot, I'll give you a couple of seconds to do that now before we go on to the platform. Okay, so now we're logged into Century. The first thing that you'll see in your Century account is your recommended path. So that's what I'm looking at right now, Helen's recommended path. Now, Century uses artificial intelligence. to analyze the areas that you're good at and also the areas that you're not good at yet. And then it recommends what you should study next so that you can improve. So it's going to give me this recommended path like this, made up of these colorful circles. These circles are the mini lessons that Century is recommending, and we call them nuggets. Now, if you want to see why a nugget is recommended to you, you can click on this symbol up here. So then it will tell you if you're seeing a nugget because it's a diagnostic, which is a bit like a quiz to work out what's a good starting point for you within that subject. Or the nugget could be chosen by the AI, so chosen by our artificial intelligence as something that you need to focus on to improve. It could also be a memory boost. So that's a little bit like a revision nugget, something that you have done before, but it's time to try again, see if you still remember how to do it. So for now, I'm not actually going to follow my recommended path because I know that I want to practice questions about triangular prisms. So I'm actually going to go into the courses page. And inside the maths course, I'm going to have a look for this lesson. Now, I could scroll through the whole list, but you'll see that there are thousands and thousands of lessons in here. So I'm actually just going to search for volume. And there we go, volume of Prisms 2, triangular prisms. So now that I'm inside the nugget, I'm just going to show you where you can find everything. So if you were doing this yourself, this is where you would find a video to explain the topic to you. It's going to be pretty similar to what we've just done. 3 divided by 2, which is 6 divided by 2, which is 3 centimeters squared. Then I need to okay, so that's going to continue like that. Now, if you'd already done this topic before and you don't need to watch the whole video, you're just revising, you could also just look at the slides up here. So it's going to be some flashcards with the information that you need and an example, or you could go straight into the questions. So let's do that now. Now, this first question, we are working out the volume of this prism. All of these are going to be triangular prisms, so that's really nice. We'll use the same method each time. And remember to include units in your answer. So here we go. I'm going to start with area of the triangle, base times height divided by 2. That's going to be 6 times 7, which is 42. Divide that by 2 and I get 21 centimeters squared. Then the volume will be that area, 21, multiplied by this length here, 11. And that gives me an answer of 231 centimeters cubed. Right, let's type that in. Okay, great. So our first answer is correct. So let's try another one. Follow the same process. So we want area first. Area is going to be base times height. So 7 times 12 divided by 2. That's going to give me 84 divided by 2, which is 42 centimeters squared. Now for the volume, volume equals area, 42 centimeters squared, multiplied by the length. So multiplied by 14. And if you really want to challenge yourself, don't use a calculator and actually work these out by hand. But I am going to use a calculator to speed things up. And this is going to give me 588. Okay, and that one is right as well. Now I'm going to give you a little bit of time to work this one out yourself. So what Century is doing in the background when you're working out these answers is it's learning about how you learn. So it's looking at whether you got the answers right or wrong. It's looking at how long it takes you, and it also looks at how you use the learning material. So do you prefer to learn from videos or from slides? Or do you tend to just skip the learning material and go straight to the questions? So I'll give you another 10 seconds working this one out, and then we'll go through the answer. Okay, let's see. Did you get the answer 644 centimeters cubed? Now you should have done 7 times 8, which is 56, divided by 2, which is 28, and then 28 times 23. So we're doing well so far on these questions. Now we'll try another one here. This one's a little bit different to the previous ones. So this time I'm told that the volume of the prism is 588 centimeters cubed, and I need to work out the length of the missing side X. So this time I have to do a bit of a different calculation. So I know that the volume is the area times the length. I know that the volume is equal to 588, but I don't know the length. I could, though, work out the area. So I'm going to do that over here. The area of the triangle is going to be 14 times 7 divided by 2. And that gives me 49 centimeters squared. Volume is going to be 49 times this length that we don't know of X. But because I know 49 times this length X is equal to this number here, all I need to do is do the reverse. So I'm going to divide 588 by 49, and that will work out X. So I should get the answer X equals 12. Now, if I was stuck at any point here, I could always go back through the learning material and look things up. I could watch the video again and come back to the questions when I'm ready. If I do that and I still get an answer wrong, let's type in something that's definitely going to be wrong. I have the option of revealing a couple of correct answers each day. That's just something that might help me if I'm really struggling. Okay, so I can see what the correct answer should have been for this question, and that should help me. Now, we're not going to go through the whole question. We've only got about 5 minutes left of this lesson. Sorry, we're not going to go through the whole nugget, I should say, because we've only got about 5 minutes left. But you can see what the experience is like of working through the nuggets on Century. In fact, let's do one more question, because this one is a little bit more tricky and it's got some distractor values and it's got a couple of bits of extra information. So I'm going to give you 20 seconds to work out the answer to this final question, and then we'll go through the answer and I can show you what happens at the end of a nugget. Okay, so 20 seconds starting now. All right, let's see how you did. I'm going to work this out now. So we've got area is going to be 5 times 6. That's my base and my height, divided by 2. And then the volume will be that area multiplied by the length of 10. I'm actually just going to do this all in one go on the calculator. And that gives me 150. Let's see, 150 centimeters cubed. Okay, so we'll stop there for the questions. And I'm just going to show you at the end of the nugget. So my results, I got a score of 50% and a completion of 67. So I didn't actually answer every question and I didn't get all of them right. Now, if I was doing this for real and I got a score like this and I didn't like that score and I wanted to do a bit better, I can always hit try again. And what you're going to get is you're going to go back to the exact same lesson. So you'll have the same slides and the same video, but you'll have slightly different questions. So you have a new chance to have a go and improve your score. You see, questions are really, really similar, but they're just not exactly the same, slightly different numbers the second time around. Okay, now that we have finished that nugget, I could go back to my pathway and I could see what's coming up next, or I could look into my dashboard and I can see how I'm doing so far in different parts of maths. So I can keep track of everything that I'm doing really well in and what do I actually need to do again to improve. So I'm going to stop the lesson there, and then we've got a couple of minutes left and I want to explain to you how you can try this yourself. Okay, so if you did enjoy this lesson and you want to try yourself, if you have a Century account already, you just need to go into your secondary maths course and find the nugget on volume of Prisms 2. Now, if you don't have a Century account and you are a parent, you can follow this link and that will explain how to set up your free account. This link is in the description of the video. And the courses that we have on the free accounts, so English, Maths and Science, we go from year 3 up to year 11, and it's all completely free while schools are closed at the moment. So you can sign up an individual child or several children or a whole school. And finally, if you are a student and you're age 13 and above and you want to make your own free Century account, you need to follow this link /student sign up. Again, that's going to be in the description of the video. So I hope you've enjoyed this lesson today. I hope that you have found it useful. As I said, there are thousands more lessons for you to practice on Century, so do check out those links in the description. And I'm going to leave this page up for a minute in case you need to write anything down or copy anything over. And then I'll just end the stream there. So thank you for watching and have a lovely rest of the day.